It's nice to see everyone. I hope everyone's warm. There's a big storm here. It's snowing a lot. I think I'm in a phase where I'm reflecting back. I often do that, don't I? This feels a little different though. Yeah, it's kind of nice that I think I'm reflecting back on like the whole story, the entirety of it. But I won't go into that those details right now. I think I more want to talk about what it's like when you're really more in the unknown and when the body is depleting of energy and it can't act the way that it used to and it can't play the roles that it used to. I remember there was a period where I think the contrast was just so stark that I felt like I couldn't even move the body and the basics were like very, very difficult. But then that kind of softened and the energy just kept like depleting, but in a slower way, in a less dramatic way. And there were just subtle things like I couldn't call my friends, I couldn't call my parents, I couldn't check up on them, I couldn't make sure they were okay. You know, I couldn't do the dutiful, like once a week kind of call, things like that, because I think that I was finally feeling my own pain and it was enormous. And I could see how it was suppressed my whole life. Even though you could consciously understand certain things, it's a completely different thing when the body has kind of just like opened up and all there is that. You don't even need to get to it. It's just that. And there's no escaping it. There's no way to suppress it anymore. And it feels like something's really wrong. It feels like, oh my God, this is horrible at times. But that is what the identity has been living on top of. It's like a mountain of pain. And in order to, it doesn't know that it's doing this, but in order to not feel the pain and not look at the truth, what it does is just act accordingly. Act the easiest way that I can be accepted and loved so that I don't get backlash, so I don't get ridicule, so I won't be called a failure. So I'll just fit in and people won't question me. People won't think I'm weird or strange or like a problem or a burden or a victim. Like there's so many different things that can just keep us on the surface. And again, you have no idea that you're doing that because that's the only reality at that time. So yeah, you're just with the body, and whatever the body feels is whatever it feels. And you might feel a lot of like guilt and shame that you're not taking care of people in the way that you used to. And you might have this feeling of like, they really need me. How are they going to survive? How are they going to live without me? And that was huge here. That was huge. And I had to learn that I was never taking care of anyone. I was never living someone else's life for them, anyways. I was just kind of constantly worrying about them in my internal landscape. It was my own dream and story, and they lived within this body, and there was a constant worry. You know, it can ebb and flow, but like it was always there in the background, a burden that this body was carrying. And I had to really see the truth that you don't know what's best for them. You don't know how to live their life. You have not been in their shoes. You have not experienced what they have experienced. You do not know why they are acting the way that they are. They have their own dream and world that makes complete sense to them. And it is not my responsibility to try to change them and mold them into me, into my way of thinking and being. It's actually very possessive. It's actually very arrogant. And again, it's innocent. It's not like everybody's doing that, a version of that, and to different degrees. But that was part of the freedom. It was freeing that, yeah, I was never responsible for anybody's life. And to truly let that go and to unburden the body from that is huge. And again, it's not anyone's fault. Like I can see in my childhood why I was trained to be that way, to deny myself and to only give space to others in a way because there wasn't any room for me. There wasn't room for me to express and be myself and show my emotions, the variety of it. Only some emotions were okay, but the others were shunned. So I was a partial person or human trying to live the way that my parents wanted me to live. And what do you end up doing? You end up trying to help and save others because you're so lost yourself, but you gain some meaning out of helping others, being there for others. That's who you are now. That's who you've become. That's your identity. That's what fills you. And it becomes so hard to stop that. It becomes so hard to not be that. And this was the only way because you can incrementally massage that. Like you can hear things like, what did I hear before? You don't owe anyone anything. And like some of that stuff was used as I was as that stuff was kind of burning up. But it was coming from a really different place because it was more like a reassurance rather than this like mental game that you're just playing on the surface. There was a transition happening from just the conceptual world to energetically, I cannot even function that way, but the habit is so strong that the body just needs reassurance that this is okay, that things aren't going to fall apart the way that you think. You were never you were never truly helping the other in the way that you think. I'm not saying you didn't help. I'm just saying that it's so much more beyond you. It's so much more beyond what you know. It's so much more bigger than what's in your control. And so, as the body's depleting of energy to act in all these different ways, the attacks will be great at times. There might be thoughts of like, you're a failure, or what are you doing with your life? You can't even do this for your parents. You can't even be there for people. I'm trying to remember what thoughts were there. Something along those lines, just like attacks here and there. And partially it's just echoes of the past. That's what caged you. That's what kept you in line. That's what kept you restricted and tight and caged, not free. But this is the only place that it can burn up. Like it has to have freedom to express. And it doesn't define you. It doesn't mean you have to listen to it. It's just that it never got the opportunity to truly be free because you were always acting that way. So like it could never emerge. Like what was underneath acting that way? It was all of that shit. All of the attacking. And so it's like you're not going in the wrong direction. The body just needs to burn that shit up because otherwise it's going to be suppressed for your entire life. And that's also okay, but that's how everybody else is living. It's just suppressed. No matter what they try in the personal world of trying to, there's a plethora of stuff out there. And pretty much all of it is like nonsense to me now. I will say sometimes there have been moments where I listen to certain people and I could parse out the personal stuff, and then the body was using the helpful stuff in a way. I think that was happening. I wasn't consciously doing it. I think at times I could see like certain things that people say could be helpful ish, but like the majority of what they're saying, like where it's coming from, is not where I am at all. It's still within a cage, and I don't relate to that anymore. But I guess that's how it is with friends now. Like some things that they say is nice. Some things just don't make sense, and it's just kind of like just disregarded, you know, naturally. Yeah, so I think one of the confusing parts of this is like things just kept getting notched down. Life became more and more simple. I couldn't do that much, but I could also sense that all of the doing that I was doing before was all fear based. All this anxiety and control and need, desperation to control everything. And the exhaustion of that, like it wasn't, after a certain point, it wasn't missed. It was like, okay, good riddance. And so the body just slows down. It doesn't do that much. It probably just does the necessary. And there's some fluctuations in that too, where even the basics get kind of hard at times. But yeah, everything keeps changing. And I think the body just needs space to go through all of these different ways of functioning. Because it's really acclimating to how do I live without this controlling mechanism that is monitoring everything? How do I eat? What is sleep like? What is taking a walk like? What is seeing friends like? What is work like? And it just keeps changing. these energetic edges of like managing everything just kind of, it like emerges and then it just like goes away. And that's just how it seems to be emptying out of the body. Like, this is how you used to function, and you have no say in it until it just kind of dissolves. And every time it does that, more of it just kind of disappears. And then the thing just becomes the thing. It just becomes what it is, simply what it is, rather than what I am getting out of it, how I am being fed by it, how I am getting meaning, how I am being defined in the good and bad ways. It's always going to vary and change. There's no stability there, there's no resting there. One of the other confusing parts was that, sometimes energy would just like come back, and then I would listen to music again and dance when I just didn't do it for months. And there was absolutely no interest and inability to listen to the lyrics, and it just felt like toxic for the body or just like chaos. And then energy comes back, these things come back, interest in things just are there, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Or it's like a nice relief at times, like, oh. And then there are assumptions that can come back of like, oh, okay, now I'm going to live life. And all of these things that, all of the ways that you used to live, the beliefs, and they can subtly rear its head again. And then you could get lost for a bit, which is fine, living by assumption. And then you try it, and then you see like the body actually just like depletes even more. You're like, what the fuck? And I could see how the flatness of everything, the evenness of everything is totally part of this freedom, because it is the interpretation and the meaning and what you're getting out of all these things that give highs and lows to everything. And there's really not that much clarity there. But here, since pretty much everything and anything is just flat, it's refreshing and freeing that there's absolutely no meaning and not much gotten out of anything. So therefore the body doesn't like attach itself or grab on it. It lost its ability to do that. Yeah, I don't think it's hiding anymore. It has nothing to hide. Yeah, I remember there was a period of like, oh, poor parents. Like they have to see their daughter just like doing, I don't even know what they were thinking, but I don't think that they wanted me to be like this. Yeah, I remember a period where I was like, feel bad for them. It didn't last. I think it was just because, again, it's like you don't know them anything. You never had to be a certain way for them. Yeah, you never needed to live your life the way that they wanted. It's just it weighs real heavy on the body. I think one of the things I was worried about was like, am I ever gonna like care for people? In a way, I think the care left, and then the care left. So it was just what it was. And only in that is the body completely free to be spontaneous and naturally see what's natural. And there might be a digestion period where like you just don't do that much, and that might fluctuate as well. But if I had to describe it now, which I didn't expect, I couldn't have known. I didn't even need reassurance at a certain point because it was just what it was. But the body's really kind, but not in a obsessive, needy, desperate, look at me, it's all about me. And not in that way at all. It's, I feel like there is like a natural care, and it's completely different from the care of the person. Completely different. And so you can't like mimic this. You can't try to get to this. It's a complete wipeout, and then you just see what it's like. And that is the only way. And I can see that most people are doing that. Like they're emptying out and stuff, and then they're hearing things and then like mimicking it or like saying that, but they're just not empty. It's still not clear. Which is fine, but like I think majority of people are doing that. Because that's all you know. That's what's familiar. Yeah, if there's anyone that would like to interact, share what's going on.
Suzanne?
Hi, Evan.
Hi.
Hi.
Um, yeah, I've been wanting to say for a while um, that I'm a really big fan of yours,
Uh,
and it's nice to meet you
Nice
finally.
to meet you
Thanks.
too.
Thank you. Yeah, just I hope you can forgive my rudeness because I was like, I got to speak.
It's not rude,
Yeah,
it's okay.
you know. Anyways, um, yeah, I've been listening to what you were saying, and yeah, family relationships are hard.
Yeah, very
They're not easy.
complex. Mm-hmm.
No. So I really relate to that.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular that you're noticing or going through?
Um, just tension, a lot of tension, it would seem.
Hmm.
Yeah. I like to listen to you from time to time, you know. I also like to listen to Alexis. Not sure if you're familiar with him. He does a
Hmm.
non-duality channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's very good. And but you're good as well in a different way. In fact, in some ways you're even better than him, but don't tell him that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like you do give more space to the story as
Mm.
a word, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he does too in his own way, but I think he's a little bit more, well, how would you say, uncompromising?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whatever. It's not a big deal. It doesn't matter, but it's just a different flavor of non-duality. I guess you could maybe say. I don't know if that
Mm-hmm.
makes any sense.
Yeah. I try to keep it as close as possible to how I normally talk in a way. Because I do talk in stories in my day to day life, like that's just how it is. So why would I just completely dismiss it?
Yeah, I like stories. You know, stories are what do you have if you don't have a story? You got nothing.
Yeah, which is nice too. But yeah, to communicate,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Anyways, I think I'm good for now. If someone else wants to speak, maybe
yeah,
I'll.
yeah. All right. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Hey, Suzanne.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Oh, I like your hair.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's something. I like to do my hair when I feel like it.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Things have felt a lot more open here. Just, it's like impossible to say how long because I kind of like, I guess, as more days and weeks go on, that it just like makes a new kind of story of, like, yeah, openness, I guess. And I realized I hadn't had any persistent, like uncomfortable body sensations that were related to like emotional, whatever that stuff is, um,
Mm-hmm.
in like 2 months. So it's crazy. It's
That's kind of
like,
nice.
it's so nice. So nice. Yeah, like that burning ball of anxiety in the chest. Don't miss
Mm,
that. So,
nice.
yeah. So, yeah,
Wow.
I'm really happy about
What a
that.
relief.
It is. yeah, realizing I've lived with that, just like you mentioned earlier, like comes and goes, but would always have a mood, like a sense of being there in the background. And yeah,
Mm.
living with that stuff for like 30 years, right? 35 years, certain
Wow.
sensations like that. So,
Hmm. Yeah, isn't that crazy when you see like, holy shit, that was like my base, just like that intense anxiety. And I had no idea
yeah,
before.
from like, I figured out I was feeling depressed or like had symptoms of depression as a teenager. And I couldn't tell anyone that. That would be horrible. My
Mm,
story was that means I have a shitty life. That can't be true. So
mm,
it started there of just all these feelings and emotions just, yeah, suppressed, semi hidden, but semi felt. So it's still uncomfortable. We still couldn't even really know what it was. And I
right.
thought that's just how it feels to be me. I mean, it was how it felt to be me, but I didn't think there was anything else possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's really cool. And it's much more sane, I think, to see it come in little bits because I expected there to be some big event, something really big to happen, and I'd feel better. I wanted that very much.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not going to be that way for me. I think that's fine, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still notice how I get annoyed by lots of things all the time, but like the openness is like seeing it and it's kind of like funny and insightful as I'm watching the thought form and the feeling and the perception, whatever it is, just that that sureness that I'm right, this person's wrong, and
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's just good to see it. It's like
it
interesting.
doesn't feel. It's not like it couldn't feel like it's not me, but it doesn't feel like that's just me in a sense. Like there's space
Nice.
around it. Yeah, yeah, that sort of feels very different.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is there any that you want to mention that are kind of
Mm.
interesting?
Yeah, there's some that are tough when I like practical things where I just want the thing I want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a thinker. I've always been a thinker. So I, in the sense, like I will turn a lot of information over in my mind, still doing that a lot. So I'm trying to make a keyboard purchase with my husband, and I don't understand why he's like, let's just get a wired keyboard. I'm like, well, let's get the wireless because they're virtually the same price. They both seem reliable. And what if we want that option? I also like practical things, like just like logical, like, and
Yeah.
it's really hard. And I know that my insistence turns him off, obviously, right? Because I'm trying to force my idea down his throat. So I caught myself stepping back, and it's really neat to see what other thoughts kind of happen.
Mm.
Right? As you're doing it, you can feel the pattern. You kind of know what the other person's going to say before they've said it. And it's like we've been together so long. Like these are patterns. I'm sure that just play out like multiple times a day. So yeah, that's interesting because I'm like, it's hard to let go of some things. Like some things you're like, I want this. I know this. That's what I want. So
Mm. Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. What are the thoughts when you kind of like step back that come up?
Step back, I'm like, I feel like I have to look at it more. I'm just in a battle with myself. I'm just like, let it go. Um, I want to forget it. I'm like, just forget it because we're gonna revisit it another day or two. Like we have time to make
Mm.
an example. I'm just in this battle with myself where I find I'm trying to encourage myself to like whatever the words are, right? It's about like accepting or letting go. And lately it's like forgetting. Don't
Mm-hmm.
like think about it so much, but like those old habits. It's not keep going. And have children. So that's like it's like extra tough. We had a disagreement last night about bring the sheet down on top of a couch to sleep on the couch. And daughter doesn't sleep on the living room couch. It's like not something to do. But last night she wanted to. It was like, okay. Kind of like it's the weekend and then we have the snowstorm, probably the same one. So there's kind of like this build up of like it's a just kind of like a stay in the house kind of weekend. I'm setting her up and it's late, later than her normal bedtime. And she refuses to put the sheet down. I just tried to explain like I know it's kind of silly and it's really not the end of the world, but to me, like it's just very simple. Like just put something between your body and the couch. Like it's not
Yeah.
a big deal. These are options. So this like we ended up fighting. I was pissed off because again in my mind I'm like I don't want to fight with you, but at the same time there's certain things where it's like I'm the parent, you're the child. This is so mundane. It's just easier for the parent to lead here. Just
Just do it.
all right. And it's so convoluted. And in my mind, of course, because I had the childhood stuff and I work with families and um, around child development. So I'm always like, oh my God, I'm denying her expression and I'm causing the childhood traumas, right? Like I'm here for all of them. I'm like actually here for all of them because I know they're happening. They're unavoidable. Like whatever.
Is
Like
that traumatic though? I think that that doesn't have, usually those things don't have like a lasting effect.
yeah, I agree. Yes, I did end up yelling in a way. Here's the thing, it's a small thing. I yelled and I scared her. And so I'm like,
Mm,
ugh. But it's also because we have this ongoing flavor of a lot of butting heads that's probably been like a long time, like
I
many months,
see.
yeah, maybe a year.
Mm.
So yeah. So it's so
How old is she?
she's 9. So
Okay.
I think I feel like around that age, you start realizing the world's a tougher place and it's not rainbows and unicorns anymore. So it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just endless material. It feels like because I live with kids and a partner, and I am very interested actually in the nature of conflict and noticing how like I feel in my body and all these moments like I don't like this, I don't like this person, I don't like this situation, and again that's maybe a very baseline feeling. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we have the script of like, I love my kids and I love my spouse. And so
Mm.
it's a big, big story. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's nice that you can see that it's not going to be just nice all the time, and it's like it's not even possible that it would be. It's just understandable that anybody close to you, of course, you're going to have things that annoy you and you don't prefer and you don't agree on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's like sometimes those moments when it's, uncomfortable or the conflict arises, it just feels so immediate and like it's everything. If I have this idea in my mind that like now we're on a smooth road, a conflict even seems worse. This is really not a big deal. So
Mm,
it's
I
like,
see.
yeah, I'm eating it all. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, in general, who wants to be in conflict? But yeah, I'm sure this can be a very interesting thing with kids because it's like you are, I guess, teaching them how to live because they just don't know, you know? They're like they're learning from you. And then I'm sure there is a balance of like, okay, how much control do I put on them? Like how much leeway do I give to them? Yeah. Yeah. And kids also go through different phases of like really wanting to do everything by themselves and not wanting to listen to anybody.
Yeah, even if it's just for the sake of it, you can kind of sense it.
Yeah.
Let them
Yeah.
choose the apples first or something. Yeah, you can tell
Mm-hmm.
even like you're like giving them the answer, like allowing them to have a chance.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, generally, yeah, fun. It's good here.
Mm.
Enjoy that. It's not something I say too often usually. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I wanted to say your part of figuring out our roles with other people who are thinking that we're responsible at looking after them. Yeah, different. I feel like there's messaging on both sides of that. And then when there's a self-care movement, it's like take care of yourself first. And everyone loves that example, you're on an airplane and the face mask drop, you put on yours first before anyone else. And again, that all like that started to sound more relevant to me about like looking to myself in the last year, especially. But again, it's like knowing that concept, even resonating, it's not the same as it being the case. Uh, but I'm finding lately, yeah, it's becoming much more and more the case for me. I like looking after myself, and it sounds kind of cliche, but then it does open up my capacity for other people because I feel like it's actually an incredibly natural thing, right? For each organism to manage itself or just do what it has to do, and then it can spread out others as needed.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Wow, nice to see you and everyone
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks so much for sharing.
thank you.
So nice to see you.
Thank you.
Bye. Hey, Logan.
Hello, Suzanne.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too. Um, I've just been noticing some just a lot of energy happening in the body right now that I kind of just wanted to give some space for.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. Take all the time you need. There's no rush.
Thanks. No, the feelings all just sort of ran away, and I'm like, okay, now what?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-mm.
What was it before?
Just a lot coming up in like the stomach and chest. This kind of like, um, yeah, just energy with kind of like a heavy quality.
Kind of related to what you've been going through, or just like in this meeting, just kind of came up?
Yeah, it just came up in this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I feel like I've probably been doing um, a lot of like distracting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so just kind of sitting in silence, like this is what's coming up.
Mm.
Um,
You mean right now? That's what's coming up?
yeah,
Sitting in
yeah.
silence? Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
during the meeting. Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know what it is really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, maybe it just feels like a heavy time.
In the world? Or?
Yeah, in the world. I mean, certainly in the world.
Mm. Yeah, we don't have to figure it out. We can just sit here. I'm really happy with just sitting here. You don't have to say anything, mention anything.
I'm feeling right now like there's something I should be doing, like more so than I usually feel. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. That's normal. That it would arise time to time.
Yeah. It's a little hard to give permission to not have to do anything.
Mm. It doesn't mean the body has to be at rest. I think you just expressing that there's this need to do something. Okay, then that's what's here.
Mm. Yeah, I guess it um, feels like that need to do something is sort of like covering over or distracting from, I don't know, something more like raw or something. Um, that could all be a story, but
Yeah, maybe. I think it's normal that the body kind of, if you want to call it, distracts. It just like does stuff and then eventually there can just be a noticing like what was underneath that. But sometimes it's hard to force it. Like, I feel like sometimes it just has to go through those phases.
yeah, yeah, that definitely makes sense.
There's a lot to distract from, you know? I mean, it's normal that the body would have feelings about a lot of things. And sometimes it just gets, I don't know, tiring, annoying to pay attention to that stuff and to even
Mm.
care at a certain point.
Mm. Yeah, I think the only reason I'm even talking about it is like this feeling it seems like is like wanting to come through. Um,
Mm,
yeah, there's no rushing it, like you said. Um, right now, what I'm aware of is just like just like a heaviness in the heart.
mm-hmm.
Hmm. It is kind of funny to notice that I want to do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of the go to, what we're habituated to do.
Mm-mm. But even wanting to express it or like make it become more like come out more is like I didn't really notice that that's like a like wanting it to be different than it is. Um,
Mm, nice.
yeah. But yeah, like the compassionate thing really, I guess, is just to be like to allow it to be as it is. Um, yeah, you don't try to like force a scared cat to like, love you or something.
Hmm.
Mm.
I think in general, like, our bodies also aren't fully used to feeling safe. Like, that's actually one of the most foreign things. And so it's normal that it would be, there would be a lot of like energetic hesitation that's not really in your control, but the body itself, like, it needs a lot of comfort and safety to just naturally reveal like what's there. And so, yeah, to me it feels like actually it is impossible for you to truly know what's there until the body just does it. Like it reveals it.
And that happens a lot just through like feeling, finally kind of feeling safe. Sounds like you're saying.
In a general sense, um, I think what we're accustomed to is a lot of harshness. Like, what does it mean? What to do with it? How to feel more of it? How to reveal more of it? And
Yeah.
in all those little subtle ways, like you described, which is so normal, it's normalized. Like, that is the way that we relate to the body. It's always something. It's always like you do something with it rather than it just being what it is. And so we're so far removed. And so it does actually take time for the body to like slowly learn how to trust itself. Like, actually, if this is how much is here right now, that's perfect. Like, it can't be otherwise. And it says nothing about you. It doesn't mean anything. It's just it is what it is. And also we forget like what we've been through in life, what made the body tight, all the accumulation that it had to deal with, all the suppression that it had to do, all the expectations from the outside that was there and put on you. We forget that that has an effect energetically on the body, and that too takes time in a way to thaw. Like, that too takes time to be allowed to be here. This like subtle on guardness, or like that too makes sense.
Now what's going through my head is like, um, it's really hard for me to put this into like words that I can understand. Um, but you're basically saying it like if I can attempt to paraphrase, like it's okay, the body is doing what it's doing, um, sort of like what it's doing is perfect already. Um,
Yeah, it's perfectly understandable. There's probably a reason that's not conscious.
yeah. Um, and I guess like yeah, I guess I can just feel that there's like a part of me that's like trying to kind of grapple with that and just like can't accept or understand it. Um, yeah, it's like it feels like there's just like an element of my conditioning, I guess, that that's just like coming from the place of separation and needing to do something. And even when it hears like, it's okay, you can trust the body or whatever, it's like the only way it can even understand that is to like make that into a strategy, into a thing to do. Okay, like, okay, so the thing to do is to trust the body, but now that's like another like top-down kind of control
I know.
mechanism again.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
nicely said. That's why it's really hard for me to describe because I don't even know what trust is.
mhm,
It's like the absence of something that allows for the body just to be as it is. So it's not trust anymore. It's not something
mhm.
relating to something else. That's why language really fails because it's really not what I mean at all. And
Yeah.
and just so you know, everything you described, that's how everybody's conditioned. Okay, what can I do with that? What can I do with what you just said?
Right. Yeah.
How do I apply that and use it? And that's it's normal. But yeah, that's not what I mean.
Mm. Yeah. And at the same time, like I can feel what you do mean. I mean, at least in part, like something comes
Sure.
through. Um, yeah, it just like I guess when thoughts try to like work with it or do something about it, they're just very bewildered. But yeah, I don't know. Would you mind sort of saying again, even though it's impossible in a way, like the essence of what you're what you're saying?
Well, I was gonna say something else.
Mm.
It also depends on your I wouldn't be surprised. I might be making assumptions, but I wouldn't be surprised the way that you grew up that it was like a important and respectable and maybe even mandatory thing that you know. Like you know what to
Mm,
do and you know just you know stuff.
mm,
I had my own version of that, but I also think that, based on what your mom does and stuff like that, there is a lot of interpretation of feelings and like knowing what it is and how to deal with it and how to open up to it. And so
yeah.
it is like a lot of knowledge and it could have been good knowledge for sure. It's definitely better than just suppressing and not being in tune with the body, like not trying to get in touch with it. But this is totally different, where there's such a depth of intelligence in the body that is so beyond you. It's remarkable. And
Mm,
it it knows when it's not safe. It knows that it just cannot open up. And I remember there was a period where I also was questioning, like, why? Why can't I feel what's going on? I could feel there's something underneath, and it's annoying because I'm like distracting or like I could tell the body's a bit more restless, you know? And I would like it if it would just like reveal itself. And it it was shown to me over and over like it's just ready when it's ready. And you really don't have any say in it. And it's just kind of like a reminder of this is how unsafe you've felt in life. This is how unsafe the body has felt. And it's kind of sad. It's like it had to be on guard. It had to shut itself down. It had to protect whatever was there. And I also remember feeling like it's kind of like a very intelligent trauma response. That is how the body learns how to protect itself. It shuts itself down or it freezes itself, and then it learns to live on top of that or create a story on top of it, create an identity on top of it.
mm.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a technique or it wasn't the same all the time, but I remember there was a real allowance for the body to take its own time. Meaning, if I wasn't comfortable with something, if I didn't want to express something, if I didn't want to say it, I just wasn't ready. And there was more and more of an okayness. Like, then that's okay. You don't have to feel that. You don't have to say that.
feels really nice to hear.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. It's really nice to think that like the body is doing a good job already. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I am like conditioned to think I'm doing something wrong or could be
Hmm.
doing something better.
Hmm. No, you're so fine as you are. There's no amount of doing or achieving or feeling that will make you more worthy. That loop never ends. There's always going to be more in that loop if that's kind of believed. Yeah, that story was never true, ever.
So I'm not going to get to the place where I'm worthy now.
You're already worthy. You could never like prove your worth. I think that it was healthy for me to hear that your worth was never dependent on anything, ever. But your failures and your successes, which you could change your perspective on depending. Like it's never a stagnant thing, it's never a solid story. It just keeps changing. But if we're gonna use your past as a story, it's amazing what you did. It's amazing what you achieved. It's amazing how you did fail and learn and you grew from that. All of it. All of it is incredible. But did any of that really say anything about you deep down? No, your worth was just the same, regardless. Regardless if you're in a phase of feeling like a failure, you're the same. You're okay. Because that idea of being a failure is part of a made up story. It's within a made up construct. And who created these markers of success and failure? It's kind of insane people. So you were never going to measure up to that man made construction because it's just made up.
So um so you're saying the kind of like the structures that we live by or tend to largely um were created by people who were whatever like very deluded.
Yeah. I can't track the story back to the origin, but like we live in this system. And if you want to call it like a capitalist system, this is how the so-called economy works. It's a made-up system. And within that system, we are a cog in that wheel. So we need to produce. So our worth is based on, are we producing within this made up system? And your value is based on that. And everyone's so brainwashed that they actually believe that that is kind of true. Deep down, it's like, are you producing? Are you a contributing member of this system? What do you do in it? And that gets ingrained in us in all of these different ways. Everybody's lost. And so when you're hearing that and feeling that, and it's signaled to you that that is the truth, like everywhere, in everything, what do you expect the body to do? It's just like, it's going to absorb it. And then it's going to run on this imaginary wheel, desperate, trying to prove its worth. And time again, all you feel is the sickness that it brings you, the mental insanity, the inner turmoil, the never good enough, never there yet, always needing more. You're never enough. That's what it does to the body. That's why we have all the sickness.
Yeah, it'll suppress whatever it needs to do, like wreck whatever it needs to inside in order to try to um yeah, like survive in that social landscape.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. Um
So even beyond worth, like worth doesn't make sense to me anymore. It's not an actual thing. That's also kind of made up. So even beyond that, it's like there is no self. There is nothing there that can be defined and known and measured up to anything else. It's not even a thing. It's not a solid thing. It constantly changes.
Give me 1 second. I have to let my cat out. She's
Okay,
scratching at my door.
sure.
Um, Yeah, the mm. So I guess like no, I'm trying to like relate to no self and like map that onto, anything in my experience and my body and in my mind. And I'm like, um, yeah, I don't know. I'm just flummoxed by it. Um,
Yeah, we could have a conversation. You could say
hmm.
what's on your mind.
um, I mean, I guess I think like really for a long time, I just sort of like took that on as a belief. Um,
That makes sense.
and yeah, I mean, it made sense because um, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's funny to think about why I even, believed that. Um, I mean, largely, I think it was actually about like being superior. Like,
That makes sense too, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that's similar for a lot of people. It makes you a
yeah,
little
oh
more
yeah,
special,
totally.
right? Like if you
Definitely,
if you believe this.
definitely. Yeah. Um, and I guess if I were to say what like self feels like to me now, I don't know. It feels like there's something there. It's like partly story and it's partly um, what feels like just sort of like a energetic sense that's just kind of feels like this sense of like solidness. Um, yeah, it feels like here, like this body, like it's like here and there, basically. Um,
Yeah, and that's okay. I remember, like, you can't help but adopt it as a belief in the beginning or whatever, if you like hear it from someone, let's say. But I remember the more time that kind of passed, I it seems strange to even like say that kind of stuff because it just was what it was. The body just felt the way it does. It didn't matter anymore whether it registered time or felt like it was here, felt like it was solid. Then that's just what it was. There was nothing to do about it per se. And it wasn't really, who cares? You know? That's kind of how it felt. It's like, who the fuck cares? There
Mhm.
wasn't that energy that was um, intense enough to try and get rid of it. I think that intensity is part of the personal energy. So
Mhm.
that just goes. And then it just feels like, well, it just is what it is. I don't even understand this self thing or no self thing. It's just energy.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really funny. It feels like just like that dichotomy between self and no self, that like seeming uh like the need for there to like be some sort of solid like constructed truth or about that around that like itself has caused me, it seems like, a lot of suffering.
Yeah, that makes
um
sense. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of strange ideas and beliefs can happen there as well, which is also just another denial of the body.
yeah. Yeah, only there's just still like a part of me that's still trying to like figure out what to do, like how to trust the body properly, how to
Hmm.
all that.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, it's just like weird kind of having that simultaneous um with something else that it feels like you're speaking about, which is like some kind of implicit trust. I don't know what words to really put to it, but like it's like deeper than it's like deeper than trust. It's like, I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I can't actually, I think what it seems like is I can't actually comprehend it, but um,
Mm. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I want more of it, whatever it is. Which is kind of funny.
More of what?
Um, it's like a feeling of like,
Oh, the thing you just described.
yeah, yeah, like some kind of okayness or something. It's not really okayness. It's like, yeah, it's so weird because like I really can't comprehend it. So the only way to approach it is like, it's like, I don't know. Mm.
Yeah. You know, what eventually became more obvious to me was that it wasn't a technique or a way of being or anything in particular. Just as a description, and I can only say this now with more apparent time because I was also like, I kind of didn't know what was happening a lot of the times because it's like, how can you know? This is your first time going through this. And how can you know anything for sure, you know? So, but I think as a description, it just felt like it just took a lot of apparent time for this sense of like something is here. I don't know, to like dissipate in all of these different ways, which I didn't know that that was truly happening, but it made sense after some time that the more that the body is unattached to what it was attached to in all of these different ways, it just made sense that something dissolves internally that felt like a more solid here. And it was never, again, it was never a technique to try to get to it or an experience to try to get to it. It wasn't that stuff. It was it was just a loss of all the stuff that I thought was like important to me. Does that make sense? Is that
Yeah. Yeah, the reason I'm kind of like smiling is like, I'm just noticing how this kind of mind construct just makes, just like, uh, I mean, it makes everything you're saying, everything anyone says into like a, like a technique, a strategy in order to get from this place of like unworth to some place of worth. Um, but it's like, I mean, it's nice that I'm like seeing that a lot more. Um,
Yeah, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if you're also seeing that underneath worth is just this feeling of unsettled. I don't know exactly what to describe it, but at a certain point, it's not even about worth. It's just like, I just want the body to be at peace or like at rest and stop trying
Yeah.
to get somewhere else or feeling like this isn't it. And that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I would love it to not be about worth. Like mentally, I would say I don't care about worth,
Mm-hmm.
but there is something like, um, yeah, there's like a deeper, just kind of energetic sense of like, yeah, unworthiness or something.
Mm,
Hmm.
yeah. This
Yeah.
maybe became like the most important thing or unimportant thing. So maybe your worth got entangled in it. So if you
Mm,
don't achieve this, then where's
mm.
my worth? Mm-hmm.
Right, right. Like non-duality or awakening or whatever. Um, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that makes sense. That will increase the reach for this, the want to make it happen, accelerate it, get the answer. It will make it more important. But that's not how this works.
It doesn't work through what?
Through reaching for it,
Mm, hmm.
because now it's become kind of like a dream. So there's like a reaching of it's the same as like becoming a more spiritual person or a good daughter or having that relationship. It's going the opposite way, meaning, and by the way, that's normal that that would happen. That probably happened for me as well.
Hmm.
And it didn't disappear all at once, but this is the flattening of any value in anything. So like even this becomes not as valuable as just being a normal person who's living a normal life. And that's eventually how it felt here. I Everything was getting so even that I was like, why did I do this to myself? Why did I even why was I even interested in this? And I think around that period I was kind of thinking like, man, I wish I was a person again, just able to like live life. And but I knew that there was always going to be suffering there. But I think I was just processing from that place of evenness of like, oh, even this isn't important. Even this wasn't gonna give me any value. It made the body more and more at peace because it was losing the ability to measure anything. But it wasn't fulfilling me in the way that I wanted and I thought it would because I was dying. That's the thing that was going.
I wish I could understand that. Um, this is, I don't know, this is funny, but this is just the thought in my head. Um, is like, I wish I could understand that even just so like you had one more person or non-person who kind of gets it.
Oh, that's sweet. But don't worry, I don't need that anymore. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. However you are, it's okay. That's really sweet. Yeah, I could see why you would say that. I think I did express to you that nobody understands me or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was sad maybe here and there, you know.
Mm. Yeah, and I think I resonate with like being lonely or yeah, kind of not feeling like anyone can really see or understand like my, I don't know, life or something. So um my experience or so yeah, I wouldn't want that for you or um
Yeah. I appreciate that. The pool does get smaller and smaller the deeper you go here. But it turns out okay. I think it's the only way that you really feel that loneliness. It's like a utter you're kind of on your own in a lot of ways, but that's the only way that this yeah, the loneliness is fully felt, I guess. But it won't kill you. It's not threatening. It won't kill the body. It can be felt, even though it can be sometimes the most painful, one of the most painful things. You know, at times you'll see that it's possible to even be completely lonely, and it's obvious to you like nothing will fill that. Nothing will mask it. Nothing will fix it. Nothing. And that's actually a very powerful place to be, to recognize that.
mm, yeah, that I mean that makes sense. That kind of feels right.
Yeah, that's why you can feel like something's like really wrong here because you've never felt this depth of loneliness, just for example, or
Mm,
another thing. But no, actually, it's the opposite of what you think. It's like how the body actually heals itself.
mm,
That's all a story. But yeah.
mm. Thanks, Haley.
You feel okay, Logan? Or is there something else?
No, I feel okay. Yeah, I think just yeah, just the presence of like whatever that kind of feeling I was talking about at the beginning um feels like is feels like is here. It's just kind of like um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess it kind of feels like little things are like crumbling away on top of it.
Yeah.
Um which is nice. I mean, that feels like what well, I don't know. I don't know if it's what I want, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's really hard to find the right words.
For sure.
But I guess it feels like truthful. Um,
Hmm.
and even that, I mean, my mind can instantly make that into like a judgment.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. But I sense what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah. So there's gratitude. I think that is like that's a true thing, is there's
Oh,
gratitude. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. I don't know much, but I can feel um, that feeling
Mm.
is is yeah, true, it seems. So
Mm.
yeah.
That's really sweet. Yeah. Well, thank you for just expressing and, you know, willing to have a conversation about it because, yeah, everything you said is one way or another exactly what I thought and felt, you know?
Hmm. For some reason, that's really hard to imagine. I don't know why.
No,
Um,
I've thought it all. I've asked all the questions.
yeah.
Yeah. To the point where I would just keep asking my friend and he would just be totally silent. I'm like, hello. But what about this?
Uh, I think it's really funny how um, I don't know, like this is just what is coming through here right now, but it feels like humility can only come through like just banging your head against the fucking wall, like body slamming the wall, like um, repeatedly until you're fucking like broken, bloodied, battered,
Like
bruised.
exhausted, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like a pile of like bones and tissue.
mm,
Um, and then I used to hold up humility as some like high virtue. Um,
mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, me too. And then sometimes you see actual humility is like you just screaming like, ah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Mm.
Help. Even though you know no one can help. Help.
Mm. Yeah. But yeah, that's all. That's what I
Yeah.
got.
Yeah, thanks so
Yeah,
much,
thank you, Suzanne.
Logan. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I really appreciate these meetings.
Oh, nice. Good.
Sorry for speaking so long. I know there's like other people.
Oh, it's okay. It was nice. Hey, Paige.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi. Good to see you.
It's good to see you.
You're free to cry if you want to cry. I'm here. However you're feeling, it's okay. Whatever you're going through, it's okay.
A lot of heat in my body now.
Mm.
It was really nice to hear Logan talk.
Yeah. You want to say how things are for you? You don't have to. I'm
I don't
happy
know
just
how
to.
things are.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. You don't have to say anything. I was just wondering.
My cats are kind of driving me crazy this morning.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling of like everything being inevitable. And then I'm just like, no, but I can change it.
Mm, nice. Yeah, you can only do so much.
Guess I don't have much to say.
Yeah, it's okay. Are you kind of thinking about work?
Yeah.
You know, I could understand in that environment where it's really hard to know exactly how much to do and how much to give. And, your body can be exhausted a lot of the time, but you still like, it varies. Sometimes you feel like you should do more, or
And then I feel like I'm constantly combating like why I'm not handling things the way people think I should handle them.
oh, trust that you're more sane than them. I can see that. You're a lot more in tune with your body, and they're probably not as much. So I think you're doing great. And it is going to be hard to have some backlash or have other people's expectations. And it would make you doubt at times, and it makes your job harder.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like I take on the role of like, yeah, being that shield of between them and
Yeah. That's an incredibly tough spot to be in. It's incredible what you do, your job. And I'm not saying that so that you do more, but I think you just being there, I'm sure it's just like it's it's really nice for them. Not that you have to stay and not that things can't change, but I'm just saying that you just being there is really lovely. It's very rare to have someone like you there. It's also not a bad thing that people adjust based on how you are. You're not meant to follow anybody. You're not meant to follow the rules of an insane person. You're meant to kind of trust what your body is saying. And it doesn't mean that you have to do that every time, but if it doesn't feel right to you and your body just can't do it, that's an incredibly useful thing for people to have because they're so lost in their mind, in the system, in the way things should be from a conscious mental place, which is not good for the body, not healthy. I think it's pretty impressive how much of a fighter you are. Like staying there, and sticking it out.
It kind of blows my own mind how long I've stayed.
Yeah. And as tiring as it is, I think this is probably really helping like burn things up in the body because you have no choice but to like feel all the discomfort. And it's going to take a toll on the body. Like it's going to be pretty exhausting. And you will question a lot of different things because of that.
It does feel like sometimes I'm like looking down at my body and it's like a cave and it's just being like torn apart in a bunch of different ways.
That makes sense to me. I think that's how I felt a lot of the times while I was on YouTube and stuff. It felt excruciating.
People think so many different things about me.
Yeah. That makes sense. They're not going to understand you. It's kind of sort of impossible for them.
I do feel like I'm somehow like, even like the staff members that I work with, like I'm giving them more space to, to however it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're doing so well. And people's opinions, it don't matter. I know it hurts, but they don't know anything.
Like right now, it doesn't feel so heavy. It is just like when it's like in my face and I feel like I have to stand my ground or to say something about it. Like that's where it just feels so heavy.
Mm,
Like people are always saying stuff about my clients' lives, and it's just like, you don't know.
mm. Like in
I
what
know.
way? Like saying
Like,
mean things or just like,
I mean, it's not like blatantly mean, but like he's doing nothing with his life. Why doesn't she do this? Like
mm,
just like the insinuation that they should be something more.
mm, yeah, it's very cruel.
Like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sad and disturbing how mean people can be and not really know it because it's like just, they just say stuff like that all the time.
they think that like they have the best interest at heart when they're saying that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Like
Yeah,
one of my
that's what's
clients,
extra creepy. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, like I don't know.
Sometimes I think back of what I was told, like it just comes back to memory. And like someone close to me who I admired and wanted to sort of like learn from at the time, it was like art related. And he said something like, you need to have something to show for your time. Is that how you word it? Like basically, you're not worth anything if you didn't produce. Like, what are you producing? Make your. And that was instilled in me, a long time ago. Like, if I don't produce, if I'm not making my time worth it, yeah, I'm not valuable as an artist. I'm not an artist. Um, and back then, he was helping me, and I thought it was helpful advice. I was learning from someone. And it's kind of creepy. It's like that was part of the destruction of why I started to fucking hate art. Yeah, people have no clue that they're actually putting their delusion onto people.
It is nice to have a space to be seen that way.
Yeah, yeah, that you're not the crazy one at all. You're the very sane one who understands that You never had to be a specific way.
Okay. I have pizza in the oven.
Okay, yeah. Go enjoy that. Take care of yourself.
Okay.
You're doing
Okay,
amazing.
yeah, thank you. It's nice to
Yeah.
see you.
You too. Thanks for sharing. Okay, everybody. Yeah, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.